Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
Good.
And I'm David.
Wow, welcome to So Many Scares.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what?
Season.
We need to figure out like a special spooky theme song.
I know someone we can call.
Spooky
Maybe we can get a nice little spooky so many sequels.
Yeah, look, any songs. Yes, we need a So Many Scares graphic from our resident favorite graphic designer. Hopefully,
We'll be reaching out to you soon, David. If you
Yeah,
do
we
this
need,
first.
the
Be prepared.
I was watching a video the other day. How you make a song spooky, right? Is you add a lot of bells and theremin. The theremin.
Yeah, Theremin will do it.
So you add a little bit of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll do it.
That'll
That'll,
do it.
that'll spook up that theme song. I can't remember. Was this someone's pick? Usually when we do So Many Scares, we pick movie.
genuinely, I don't remember what we're doing for the full month. I only remember the first 2 weeks. I don't remember how we're finishing.
That's right.
But
We'll figure it out.
we'll
That's
figure it out as
post-production
always.
stuff. Right now, we're just going to enjoy it, baby.
Yeah.
If it needs to be, this can be mine because I love this movie.
Spooky season is upon us. If you're lucky, maybe there's a chill in the air. Not so much for us right now, but I'm looking forward to it because we watched a movie this week that and I'm sure you guys and people listening to hold a lot of nostalgia for, right? We're talking
Sure.
about Disney's Hocus Pocus. This movie came out in 1993. Of course, everybody's talking about the sequel, the long, long awaited sequel that is coming out on Disney Plus. I think it's actually this week that's coming out. So that'll be really exciting. Hocus Pocus, of course, introduced us to three iconic witches, the Sanders sisters. I need to figure out how to turn off my sounds, actually. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy made these characters almost like Halloween pop culture icons, I feel like, since 1993. So let's just dive into it because people know the movie. We don't need to go through the premise, I don't.
Yeah, maybe.
Who wants to? You don't think? So the Sanderson sisters have been basically locked under a curse for hundreds of years, and they are accidentally freed by Max, a new resident of Salem, where of course witches are just a long part of the history there. And they are then sent on a quest with his little sister and his high school crush to put them back in witch prison. That's the best. That's basically it.
Yeah, to defeat them, turn them
To
to
defeat, to defeat them. So that's the premise. Anybody itching to jump in? You might want to go first. Anyone
Yeah.
is there a Hocus Pocus hot take to get us started?
Yeah, I guess I got it.
I feel like you know what? I've seen David a little squirmy down there.
Oh no!
I feel like there's something coming that's going to shock us
You
all to
hired
the
me.
core. I feel like he's got the scares ready.
So I got two things I want to say.
Okay.
First is
No.
I, like most people, and I think I have the data to prove that, I, like most people, did not see this movie theatrically.
Yeah.
So my entire memory of this movie is basically just every year when they would run this on Disney Channel, and every year when they would run on ABC Family or Freeform or whatever that was at any given time, right? I don't feel like I have ever seen the first 20 minutes of this movie. So yes, because I always came in like halfway through. There was always like back. You guys remember the
You
night?
always saw it on TV when you didn't have a chance to rewind.
I didn't have it on yes, I didn't have it on any kind of home video. So I would always catch it as it was happening. That was the 90s, babe. There was no rewind. There was no DVR. So I would just catch it midway through, usually. So I always thought that all the stuff that they referenced about the past was just like referential. Like they never showed any of it. So this was probably my first real time watching the whole movie in its entirety. And I think it's a really good movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it is camp to heck. It predates it. So technically what I'm about to say is going to be the reverse. It's kind of the Halloween, the Santa Claus in a lot of ways, because it's Disney taking that iconic holiday and working with it. Now, technically, I guess the Santa Claus is the Christmas Hocus Pocus, since Hocus Pocus came first.
True.
But as great as I think it is, and as I'm going to give it a very good rating here at the end, I do think it's kind of overrated in how much it's blown up at least over the last few years. I feel like there's been this, like when we say cult classic, That's what it is, because this movie had no impact when it first came out and only built because of its second life on television. I enjoy it a lot, but I am surprised by how many people really, I don't know. It is weird how it's kind of strange how iconic it became to me. What about you?
I don't remember when I first saw it. I just remember it. It's kind of one of those things that always existed. If I saw it in theaters, I was 3, so I wouldn't remember it anyway. But for a long time, I didn't watch it a lot. It's kind of, I compared it to A Christmas Story for me, where there are some movies that you just associate hardcore, and it's a feeling, right? A Christmas Story gives me a certain feeling, like holiday season this year, or something that you just watch it and say, yeah, I get this. And Hocus Pocus is that. I watch it. It's not quite holiday times where you're thinking about Halloween normally at this point in time. It's on your mind, but I wouldn't watch Hocus Pocus yet. But now that I have, I'm feeling it. I'm excited about it. And that's mostly what I get excited for. This movie's wholesome. It can be scary. It has moments where it is a little like jumpy. It's not like over the face, but whenever he thinks Danny's in the bed and he pulls back the sheet and Sarah Michelle Gellar pops up, that moment, it's a good jump scare. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you entertained. And it's just fun. And the performances are good. All three of the Sandersons, they really just lean into their characters and they just go for it. And again, I think the movie as a whole does hold up. It's a solid movie. It's fun to watch. There's not a lot of special effects, so everything is pretty practical and it holds up and it doesn't look out of place. Yeah, it was made in 1993, but it doesn't look like it's 1993. It feels fine. So no problems for me.
Josh?
Yeah, it's still very fun. It does, and it's really captured to me the feeling of Halloween as a child specifically. I don't know what it is about it, but somehow the setting seems like it's both like timeless and like a time that's been completely forgotten. I feel like there's this weird area of time in the 90s specifically when this was made where there was a very short amount of time between classrooms with chalkboards and apples and the ideal version of a classroom, and then like smart boards and whiteboards and
Yeah.
like it feels lost, but
And
also like it's forever.
from like another perspective, like when the cars used to be like angular before they like rounded the headlights and they like
Yeah.
curved all the cars.
So I like that aspect of it, that it doesn't feel dated, I guess. And another way that I think, no, never mind. I'm going to go to something different. The sisters in particular, I think one of the reasons why this movie has also grown in cult status into the mainstream is not just because of people being able to view it over and over again on home video and on television, but because the 3 actresses playing the Sanderson sisters have truly only become more iconic since then. Like Bette Midler was already freaking Bette Midler then, but now she's absolutely a legend. Sarah Jessica Parker, this is pre Sex and the City. This is pre a lot of things you would have seen her in as a movie star. So like she has only had time to grow, and Kathy Najimy is in everything. She's in everything.
Peggy Hill for
She's
crying out.
Peggy Hill. Like she's fantastic. So you got these 3 stars who really carry the movie, because I had to double check, and the child stars really didn't become much of anything. Max doesn't even act anymore. And that's it character wise. I mean, you do have the nice cameos from Gary and Penny Marshall.
And obviously,
otherwise, there's no real star power in this.
no, and even like some other actors to shout out. Doug Jones plays Billy Butcher. He went on to he's become a huge, I'm not really sure what to call him. He's an actor.
He does a lot of motion capture.
He's like a
He's,
creature.
he's like the practical version of motion capture. Like he's every Star Trek alien that's ever.
He's Guillermo del Toro's ghost.
Yeah, they put him in all the actual makeup.
He's a creature performer, really, like in a lot of ways. And he's great at it. This might be one of his only times he actually has speaking lines. Yeah. But then that's also worth shouting out Jason Marsden as the voice for Thackeray Binks.
You know, that loved me.
I would like to talk about now.
Go for it.
The part that for me, as a kid, did not matter at all. In this movie, it is so awkward. Has it always been the case that he dubs this real life actor for the entire film, not just as a cat, in the in the past and when he's a ghost, it's still Jason Marsden dubbing this kid's voice
Wait,
I did not know that.
with a really weird 1600s affectation. Like he's kind of British, but it took me out a lot.
that really is what happened?
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
you watch the beginning of the movie, whenever that kid talks, it's Jason Marsden just dubbing him the whole film.
See, what I assumed was that they just had Jason Marsden do the cat, and then this kid was real life Thackeray. But I also thought that seemed silly. Why is it not just one of them?
It's not like Jason Marsden was in his
Yeah.
20s here. This is 1993. He's probably like 16, 17. He's old enough to get to play this part.
Interesting.
So it's,
I need to know now. We need to find out if it's actually dubbed, because that's super.
and then what my wife pointed out is she thought that like when he was human at the beginning and at the end, it was the kid doing the voice and Jason was only the cat. And she thinks that maybe they've gone back and redubbed it and had Jason do the whole movie for whatever VHS or home release or whatever. Because she seems to remember that kid having a real voice. And I don't know, but I'd have to rewatch it again. But like at the end, it was definitely still,
Wow.
it was
I'm
very,
loving-
I'll be with you forever. It was,
I'm
I don't know,
loving this Hocus Pocus conspiracy we just
very strange.
unraveled.
Love Jason Marsden though.
Yeah, he's great as the cat and or the boy, if that is in fact the case. Although that's weird.
I would love to find out that they Darth Vadered this random kid.
So
They did.
I wanted to talk about Max as a character.
Man, this guy.
This guy! Yes! That's what I was thinking, because I don't remember having these thoughts as a kid, but watching it this time,
Nice.
I was like, man, this kid sucks. He thinks he's too cool for Halloween. He thinks he's too cool for Halloween. Who is too cool for Halloween? Even in high
This
school,
town,
I
this
love
town is the worst town for him to go to because this town is like hardcore. They're believers in Halloween, and they're like, "What? You don't believe in dead witches?" It's no, I don't know. It's like one of two things. This movie's incredibly horny. All right, there's a lot.
No joke.
They were like, they could have had that thing like, when a virgin lights the candle. That could have been the only mention. They go ham on this kid being a virgin.
They do.
Like, he's 15.
Yeah.
Leave the guy alone. I don't.
Sarah Jessica Parker very much wants to help him not be that anymore.
I know. I mean,
It's creepy in and of itself.
oh yeah, and that's a whole other aspect. Is Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie is like a TikTok dream because she's just all
And it
glammed up, parting herself around. There's a part where she opens her mouth to catch water, and I was like, how has this not been gift to heck? And there's all that. Then there's the guy on the bus who's really wanting to get with all three of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously
It's Halloween, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
But obviously the guy hanging out with Gary Marshall, or Gary Marshall as the devil.
Why did he let three strange women into his home?
It was
Oh,
the
man.
90s.
That's not a
And
good
that's the thing.
answer.
I guess in 1993, everyone was getting so laid that let's just pick on this random 15-year-old because he's a virgin. Because that was like one of the weirder aspects of the movie for me.
I had two parts of the real quick, David. I had two
But
quick
go,
parts.
sorry,
of that.
but yeah, but Max is a weirdo. Max is a dude.
Yeah. And so my thing is he comes from LA and his bullies, Ice and the other guys, seem like they're from LA. I mean, he has his name carved into his thing and he's got the hair and they're like, they look like they came from LA and are bullying the Massachusetts guy who's over Halloween because that's all I have to deal with. That would have at least more sense for character structure. But I had a problem with that. And then the other one was the brooms. Because those little girls, they steal those brooms and they fly away.
Seemingly.
But then, because you hear the sound, and then later they're flying on mops and brooms and vacuums and stuff. So where does the witch broom magic power come from? It's my
Comes from the witch, I would assume.
Then why do those girls get to fly? Are they real witches?
Maybe once they've enchanted the device, then it has permanent enchantment, but they have to enchant it first. But we never see those brooms again. Those girls could be halfway to LA by now.
Yeah.
This dude,
Remember,
They're the witches Beastwick at that point in time. Sorry.
in terms of a line given to an actor, this is a bad line. Max looks at Cat right in his face because this cat says something about his sister, and this boy looks this cat in the face and goes, "You really miss her, don't you?" Yeah, he misses his dead sister. What kind of question is that? He's been a cat for 300 years. Of course he misses his dead sister that died in front of him. What kind of idiot question is that? Max is a real menace.
How do we feel about the lure of the salt? The salt thing is the one thing where I've always been like, you mean I just got to put a ring of salt around me and I'm fine? That's not real. That's the only time I've ever heard that. In
Well,
any other horror movie, as popular as this one
Yeah,
is, it has become over time. I've never heard anybody else implement or use that any other
Well,
time.
you got to watch more Supernatural. They're all about salt on that show.
Oh, that's true.
blasted-
They do use
They're
salt.
blasting demons
Blast-
with salt guns,
That's
all
true.
kinds of stuff. That was
I'm pretty sure salt.
now
is a
pre whatever that show came out, 2004. Yeah, that would have been my first hearing of Assault Circle. But all I could think about was how to keep a sea bear away from SpongeBob.
Fair enough.
What are some of your favorite parts? Do we have any like favorite parts that you always come up and think of? For me, it's obvious. Like I really like when Sarah Jessica Parker just says "amok." The way she says "amok, amok, 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 amok" is just always really funny. But what about you guys?
I like it when they're about to hang them toward the beginning, and Winifred is just yes. He's like almost nonchalantly answering questions. There's not a noose around the neck.
The most
Her
I
attitude
think I think the most iconic element of the movie is the "I Put a Spell on You" song sequence with Bette Midler. And for some reason, in my head, that whole part was way longer. It is actually a pretty short little snippet of the movie. And yet I feel like whenever they would promote this movie on TV, this Friday, Hocus Pocus, I put a spell on you. It was like all the promotion. This movie, I think it's the most recognizable part of the movie. And it's surprisingly not in there that much. But yeah, I would say probably that. I like the part where what's his last name? Billy Butcherson gets his fingers crushed off in the thing. That's just a very traditional comedy thing. He goes down and you just hear, I don't know, simple pleasures.
One of the more remembered moments, and one moment that I do see gift pretty frequently is, "Oh look, another glorious morning makes me sick." That's a great line.
It's a great line. This movie really benefited from Bette Midler's sort of over the top performance.
Yes, her theatricality was necessary for this. I think it helps a lot that you got 3 actresses who have actual theater experience to play these very cartoonish witches. I have a lot of So I have questions about the town in general, and maybe these will be answered in Hocus Pocus too. But in movies and shows like this, where usually they're children fighting dark forces of some sort, the town seems oblivious to everything the whole time. This is a thing in Stranger Things recently too, if anyone has watched that. But why does no one notice? Just why does no one notice, I guess?
Part of it comes from the song sequence. I believe she hypnotizes the parents into just dancing all night. And that's why when they stumble out in the post credits, they are mid credits. They're all like, good grief, we like dancing there all night.
No one questions at least the passage of time that happened.
No. It's like,
they got so wrapped up.
Yep. They're just like, nobody's noticing these kids just leaving. Every parent was at that party. There's all kinds
It's a way to get away from them damn kids, to tell you what.
Big hole in Max's house, the top of his house now. That's going to be an interesting thing to follow up. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's just like, that's just a general conceit of children's horror, I guess, for lack of a better word, is that just your parents are oblivious or they're just unable to help you in any way. It's things like that. Like, it's just a common trope, I guess. And I'll bring it up later. But yeah, I don't know, Josh. Maybe they will. I bet it happens again, though.
Follow-up question about the kind of connecting the lore here. Again, something else I wouldn't have thought of as a child. But as an adult, at the end, when we have Thackeray getting to reunite with Emily, is that her name? So she just had to stay a child for 300 years? Is that how that version of the afterlife works?
I guess ghosts don't age, really.
Like, it just, I don't know. Something irks me about her being killed by witches as a little girl and then having to be a little girl for eternity.
I think that's a pretty common. I think that's a pretty common depiction of the afterlife.
No, you're right. It is common, but I just you don't think about it because they don't make movies anymore where you see a literal ghost child like that.
When they don't do, I mean, and I get obviously culturally it might vary a little bit, but usually when you have a ghost scenario, it is always like whatever they looked like the last time when they died. They're always wearing the same things.
Yeah.
As Carl Pilkington said,
right.
You never see ghosts wearing anything from the 70s. They're always like Victorian.
I get where I start to pick at it a little bit. It makes sense for Zachary because he was cursed. She just died. So,
Get her life sucked out of her.
yeah, it would make sense to me that he didn't age in that time. But
Because at the same time, if you age as a ghost, when would you ever stop aging? Would you just
these are my questions that probably should be directed to someone with more credentials than either of
you
you.
really have no biology as a ghost. So if you're a 300-year-old ghost and you're in the afterlife and you're 300 years, what would you even look like? You'd look like dust.
Yeah. I just like to think there's a period where you peak, like Sean Connery did. You just peak and you don't look any worse ever.
You don't look any better, any worse.
Yeah, you hit your peak and then you stay there for eternity. That's how I like to imagine it.
Paul Rudd's been in that peak for a long time now.
Exactly.
Yeah, baby.
Great example. Paul Rudd might be a cursed cat.
Paul Rudd could, yes, he could be a Thackeray Binks of sorts.
How many Hocus Pocus conspiracies can we come up with?
We come up, we always
I
spit
got
out it.
plenty. But another one, here, I feel like we could make this a conspiracy. David, you found a fun fact about this movie that you
Sure.
shared with us in Discord that I didn't know about. Oh, and so I wonder if other people might know about it because it involves a very famous person who was almost in this movie.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you found it. You found that little treasure trove.
In an interview with Variety a few years back, Leonardo DiCaprio revealed that he almost played Max. He didn't say he almost played Max, but that's the assumption, is that he would have played Max in this movie. We all kind of have a vision of Leonardo DiCaprio as being however old he is now, 42. But when he was younger, he would have been the right age to be in this movie. He turned it down, though. He said that Disney offered him more money than he had ever imagined at that point, which I feel like still probably wasn't that much. But he was like a 15, 16-year-old actor. And he turned it down because he really wanted to do a little indie movie called What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And that was a big part of launching his actual career. And not to say that like a good actor can always shine through. So it's possible that he still would have had a big career even if he was in Hocus Pocus. But I kind of feel like obviously he made the right decision. Obviously it didn't end poorly for him.
I feel like I think you're right that his career could probably still shine through, but I do think it might be significantly different if he had gone down this path. But I don't think the movie would have been any different.
And I think that's
no.
why it probably would have changed his career path, because I just don't think this character is very strong. Even with a good performance, I still think it's just not strongly.
Right. I
Like
mean, I
they
think
mentioned
about
before, you can only perform so well, but you can't outshine Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. Like you can't.
no, and he wouldn't have. I mean, Leo at that age wasn't like incredible. I grew up watching Growing Pains, and he was on that show toward the end for a little bit. So I remember like little teenage DiCaprio. He's basically just like this kid.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think the movie would be the same. He might struggle. I don't know, because that was his first Oscar and Golden Globe nomination was for Gilbert Grape. And that's quickly followed with Romeo and Juliet and then Titanic. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten, if he hadn't gotten the Titanic role because he didn't do Gilbert Grape, think of the butterfly effect with that.
Could have been a very different career. Although, you never know. People like, he could have had a career maybe more akin to like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was also kind of a younger child star who did a lot of different projects. Started to kind of get typecast as a cute kid. Took some time off, came back as an adult actor. I don't know. You never know with these types of things.
Nope, you never know. All right, well, without any last thoughts on Hocus Pocus, before we shift gears here, we'll go into the box office for this movie.
Yeah. Let's move on to the box office. This movie didn't have an international release, so I'm going to we only really have the domestic numbers to worry about. Also want to say that Yabos scene was awkward as heck. But
what
I
scene?
think it was supposed to be. When his sister was like, my brother really likes your Yabos. Is that what she said?
There were several times when Danny was being a younger sister, and I don't have a younger sister, but I still the older brother embarrassment.
Yes.
It really hurt a lot.
So Hocus Pocus. Now I got a little fun fact about this too. Hocus Pocus opened the weekend of July 16th, 1993. And we've talked about this before with the strange time of release for a holiday film. Releasing a movie which is very clearly about Halloween in July seems like an odd choice, but executives thought that it would capitalize on the fact that kids weren't in school. And even during Halloween, even during October, kids are in school, might impact the box office. Unfortunately, didn't really work out. Hocus Pocus would open to 8.1 million in its opening weekend, just ahead of Free Willy in the number 5. So Hocus Pocus was would finish in the number 4 spot, Free Willy at number 5. And the number 1 spot was a movie called The Firm. At number 2, you had a movie called In the Line of Fire. And at number 3, a film that you may or may not have heard of in its 6th week, Jurassic Park. So those made 13 million. Those made 13, 13, and 10. So honestly, pretty tough competition. Even Jurassic Park in its 6th week is still going to be pretty popular with this same group of the same demo. And then Free Willy is also going to be hauling a lot of your money away for family-friendly films.
Free Willy, wonder if we'll ever do that.
I don't know. It doesn't really fit most of our themes, but we could find a way. We could have a family month.
The theme of sequels, and really, that's all you need.
So many sequels of Free Willy.
Only there are Free
There's at least 3 or 4 Free Willies, I think.
I feel like Free Willy
times is Willy getting trapped, man. They leave Willy alone.
Let this poor orca be at peace.
I mean, we all went through an orca period because of that movie, right? Or is that
absolutely.
Of course. Orca's the best. I think it's technically a dolphin.
the best scene?
Yeah, it was Free Willy said it all, and then we forgot, and then Blackfish brought it back.
Yes. SeaWorld.
It wouldn't be a great run for Hocus Pocus, as it would finish with just $39.5 million over the course of its 13-week run. And that's not really high enough to finish on most yearly charts in terms of the top 5. For 1993, it was a pretty stacked year. You're going to remember, we just talked about some of these movies, but at number 1 for the year, you had Jurassic Park. At number 2, at number 2, Mrs. Doubtfire. At number 3, The Fugitive. At number 4, The Firm, and at number 5, Sleepless in Seattle. So pretty good, pretty memorable year for movies. Some other movies that came out that year: Schindler's List, Pelican Brief, Philadelphia, Groundhog Day came out that year. Grumpy Old Men.
Sure.
There you go. So that's an Andrew movie. Although I feel like I don't know. I feel like Grumpy Old Men. I feel like I have some other friends that are really into that movie. Oh, Sister Act 2 came out that same year, also starring one of the Sanderson sisters. What's her name? Kathy Najimy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So that is
our ratings, though.
That's a wrap of the box office. Go
Do
ahead.
we have any quick predictions of what we might expect for the upcoming sequel, which you can hear our review of soon for So Many Scares? But do we have any thoughts?
I'm only cautiously optimistic. I don't really think they can recapture the magic, personally.
I'm highly pessimistic because I feel like this movie, as great as it is, I feel like it's as big as it is because of the repetition that we got as a kid. And sometimes I just feel like they're going to struggle. I mean, I feel like it's going to be the exact same, and people are just going to look at it and go, yeah, but it's crap. But we're just a very different society now. So
People have changed.
I feel like the movie I feel like they could release Hocus Pocus today and people go, man, this sucks. You know what I mean? So
I don't know, but people seem to love it still.
They do. They love it because when it came out, and they know that, right? But I feel like if you release the same movie today, people would go, wow, this is so bad. Disney does not know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I feel like the movie will recapture some of the elements that made that first movie, and people are going to look at it and go, ugh, it doesn't work.
Yeah. The fact that they're putting it on Disney Plus alone,
it
could go either way. It could be either way, honestly. It could be they think it's going to just do better and it's more successful, or it's bad and they don't want it in theaters.
I predict that Sarah Jessica Parker will be riding a Swiffer. I may or may not have already seen that in the trailer. So
yeah, this seems likely. They will probably talk about an iPhone being magic. That's my
yes. There's going to be a lot of 2022 humor.
All right. What are our
rankings, real quick?
I'm gonna spit mine out quick. It's 3.5 for me, which is great in my scale.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well.
4 stars, baby.
What do we want to do? Are we looking at Letterboxd?
Yeah, let's look at that real quick. I actually accidentally saw the score, so it'll be up to you two this week. And while you think about it, let me spit out a couple of my favorite funnies here, as usual. We got the top rated review says, when I first watched this film as a kid, I asked my dad what a virgin was, and he told me it was a person from Virginia. Then we got, sorry, I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle is probably one of the oddest flexes for closing lines of dialogue ever.
Yeah.
And then finally, why did everyone bully this child so hard for being a virgin? Leave him alone. He's like 15.
That's what I said. That's not my review, but that's what I said.
Yeah, it's very heavy on the virgin shaming.
I mean, I know it was the 90s and everybody was just getting it left and right, but come on. By the way, I'll tell you what, that Vanessa Shaw as a kid was something else.
Childhood
Uh,
crush right there.
When I was a kid, I mean,
Childhood
I
crush
don't
for
have a
sure.
crush on her anymore. When I was a kid, I was like, wow, that's
sure.
that's an adult woman right there. Did not realize she was only 15.
So what do you
Oh.
think? The letterbox community,
Oh, the Letterboxd community is going to give this a 3.3.
3.3.
Ooh, I'm going to give it a 3.5 on the dot.
Okay. I can tell you, I always love it when this happens because we have a direct hit and we don't have to worry about a tiebreaker. And the direct hit is Garrett's 3.5. Is exactly what the movie is averaged at on Letterboxd right now.
Yeah.
That ends our Hocus Pocus episode. We'll be back next week with Hocus Pocus 2. We'll find out if any of our predictions were true. Hopefully, it will exceed expectations. That's always my hope, but we shall see. That should be on Disney Plus for y'all next at some point this week. I don't remember the day exactly. So check it out there and subscribe to So Many Sequels in your favorite podcasting app. You can find those links at so manysequels.com so that you can get that episode as soon as it comes out. And then, of course, we'll finish out the month with more Halloween stuff too. We got a lot more So Many Scares up our sleeves. Probably some actual scares too. We won't only do family movies. Probably.
Maybe. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.